I never saw myself as someone who would quit a job on the spot. I always believed in professionalism, toughing it out, and leaving on good terms. But some jobs are like slow-burning fires, and one day, you realize you're the one being burned. For me, that moment came at Evergreen Solutions, a mid-sized tech firm where I worked as a project manager. The pay was decent, the benefits were meh, and the people seemed okay. At first, looking back, the red flags were waving in my face from day one. But I ignored them. I remember my first week clearly. I was still in that new job excitement phase, shaking hands, getting to know my team, trying to learn the ropes. But something seemed off. Everyone looked exhausted. Not the normal, I need another coffee, kind of tired. More like if I don't lie down for 14 hours, I might actually die, kind of tired. I asked Jenny, one of the senior employees, about it. She just chuckled dryly. "Welcome to the grindhouse," she said, sipping what I assumed was her fourth cup of coffee that morning. "They'll pile on projects until you break. Don't let them." I laughed it off. Surely it wouldn't be that bad. 2 months later, I was managing 5 major projects at once. My work week had ballooned to 70 hours, and my phone never stopped buzzing. Weekends? Gone. Social life? What's that? I was responding to emails at 2 a.m., attending meetings while eating dinner, and constantly hearing, "Hey, can you just handle one more thing?" I should have seen the writing on the wall. Steve, my boss, had the charm of a rattlesnake and the empathy of a brick. He was the kind of manager who never took responsibility for anything, but was always first in line to take the credit. If a project went well, he was the genius behind it. If something went wrong, "Why didn't you anticipate this?" One day, a major client changed requirements at the last minute, completely derailing our timeline. I worked all night fixing the issue, barely got 3 hours of sleep, and submitted a revised plan the next morning. Steve still ripped into me. "I don't care if they change their minds. You should have been prepared. This delay is unacceptable." I wanted to scream, but instead I just nodded exhausted. Got it? That was my mistake, just taking it. But the real moment I started questioning everything was payday. One Friday, I checked my bank account, and my paycheck wasn't there. I assumed it was a glitch. But when I checked with HR, they casually said, "Oh yeah, we're having some cash flow issues. You'll get paid next week." Excuse me? I had rent due, bills to pay, a life to live. But when I confronted Steve, he just shrugged. We all have to make sacrifices. Funny how his sacrifice never included missing a paycheck. Some employees were panicking, but most just sighed. This wasn't the first time. That's when I started realizing I was working myself into an early grave for a company that didn't even care if I could pay my bills. Still, I held on. I needed time to find another job. But then came the breaking point. It was a random Tuesday morning, and I was about to present a major proposal. This wasn't just any project. It was something I had spent weeks working on, triple-checking every detail. If the client signed off, it would mean a 6-figure contract for the company. I had barely slept the night before, but I was ready. Then, 10 minutes before the meeting, Steve walked over. "Oh, by the way, I gave your project to Mark. He'll be presenting instead." I blinked. "What?" "Mark needs more experience in leadership roles." "Mark?" The guy who had no clue what was even in the slides. I stared at Steve, thinking it was a joke. But he was already walking away, like it was nothing. I felt something snap inside me. I took a deep breath, closed my laptop, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "You know what? I'm done." Steve turned back, smirking. "Don't be dramatic." I picked up my bag. "No, really? I quit." There was a stunned silence in the office. Jenny's eyes widened. Mark looked like he wanted to disappear. Steve crossed his arms. "You're just going to walk out? That's unprofessional." I let out a laugh. Unprofessional is making someone work 70-hour weeks and not paying them on time. Unprofessional is stealing someone's work and giving it to an unqualified person. So yeah, I'm walking out. And then I did. As I left the building, my phone buzzed. "Jenny, did you just leave?" "Me, yep." "Jenny, lucky bastard." The second I stepped outside, I felt free for the first time in months. Was I scared? Absolutely. I had no backup plan, no job lined up, but I refused to waste another second being miserable. 2 weeks later, I landed a job that respected my time, paid on time, and actually valued my work. As for Evergreen, they lost the client because Mark bombed the presentation. Half the team quit within 3 months. Steve, fired 6 months later. I used to think quitting meant failure, but sometimes walking away is the most powerful thing you can do. And I never look back. If you're reading this and you're stuck in a job that's draining the life out of you, trust me, there's better out there. Life's too short to waste it on a company that doesn't respect you. Would I ever work for a place like Evergreen again? Not even in my worst nightmares.